SEC Network analyst Roman Harper is presented each week by MyBookie.ag. Use code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit bonus when you use code NEXTROUND at MyBookie.ag. Bet anything, anytime, anywhere. MyBookie.ag, code NEXTROUND.
Let's talk to our man Roman Harper.
Yeah, Harp is going to join us from the streets of his city, New Orleans. His city's Prattville, but he also claims New Orleans. What is up, Harp? How are you today?
What's up, guys? How you doing, man? Just finished up a photo shoot with my family. They're all back there, walking back to the condo, and gonna get ready for some football tonight.
I hear you.
So it's good though.
So you'll be at Saints Broncos, and we were discussing this earlier. The return of Sean Payton. Dunaway asked me if I'm a Saints fan, how do I greet Sean Payton? And I think Saints fans cheer for Sean Payton, right? He gave you a Super Bowl.
I agree. I definitely agree with that. I think if this, and also with what's going on with the Saints team right now, they started out really good. Sorry if it's loud. You know, they started out really good, but then all of a sudden they may miss Sean because, you know, it's not the same. And so I think they do cheer for Sean. It's a little mixed emotions, but they better be ready because Sean wants to beat them by 45. You better believe that. Sean is on that level of pettiness. I know him personally, and he wants to beat them bad. So this is going to be kind of that part of it. And the team that takes care of the football and plays the best is going to win. I'm excited, though, just because Drew Brees is going into the Saints Hall of Fame. You know, we got a lot of former players here. We were all hanging out last night. And I told somebody earlier, I said, hey, look, if somebody pulled the fire alarm at the Broncos hotel last night, it wasn't anybody in my group chat. Just know that.
Hey, so Harp, let me ask you this, because I remember, and I brought up Bountygate, and after that, when Sean was suspended for the year, how that community really supported him, and they hated Roger Goodell in the NFL for doing that.
They still do.
I think the statute of limitations 15 years later is up. What really went on in that NFC Championship game? And I mean, you guys beat and battered Brett Favre.
Yeah, you know, the crazy thing is during the game, I don't even know. I didn't realize we hit him as much as we did. And so, look, at the end of the day, it wasn't like we were paying to try and knock him out. I mean, if somebody got injured, we always collected out of our kitty, right, for certain things. If you got a sack, you got a certain thing. You got a turnover, you got a certain thing. It was just all in the kitty as one thing. It wasn't like we were trying to do anything but maliciously. But then you also had to pay. If you messed up, you got a penalty. You had to pay into the kitty. If you had a missed opportunity, you had to pay into the kitty. So it was more we distracted. Look, at the end of the day, in a world full of gangsters and organized crime, our crime was just a little bit more organized than others, and that's really what it was.
Roman Harper's with us. Vegas right now has it minus 130 that he steps in a pile of hurricane export on the streets of New Orleans as he's walking back.
Hey, my kids stepped in something yesterday. I'm like, hey, guys, this is not Charlotte, guys. You got to pay attention.
Watch the
where
step.
you're walking at all times. You can't just be walking out.
Yeah, that's my 11-year-old daughter. First time in New Orleans, we were leaving there on a cruise. We were walking to get to Cafe Du Monde, and we were walking through the big square there. And she's like, "What are all these big piles of pink stuff?" And I was like, "You'll know in about 7-8 years."
I mean, that's the crazy thing. Like, is it puke? Is it horse shit? Is it human shit? It could be any of it.
I think it's a combination of it all. Yeah. It's just a little bit of it all. Yeah,
it's a very, very European feel over in New Orleans. We love it so much. So Alabama, Tennessee, and I asked the question earlier: who's struggling more right now, Alabama's defense or Tennessee's offense? I'll ask the same question to you.
I would say Alabama's defense. Tennessee's offense, I mean, we can talk about their struggles, but if Nico Iamaleava hits one or two of those deep passes the last couple of weeks, you got a total different feel of where this Tennessee team is at and this offense, right? So they have missed some opportunities. For Alabama, their struggles defensively are all a lot of eye discipline and eye violations and being in the wrong place, not communicating. And what you got to understand, guys, is a good defense is a loud defense. A good defense is a defense that doesn't keep secrets. They communicate with each other. They alert each other when things they see. You know, hey, this left tackle's foot's just a little bit back. Bird, 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 which means it's just passed, right? So you don't keep any secrets to the people beside you. And that allows you to play faster, especially when you're playing in a scheme where you're going to do more zone. I talked to you guys about this at the beginning of the year. After spring training, I saw them. I said, look, if you're going to play this type of defense, you got to be able to tackle well in space. You got to be able to fly around and know who's outside you, where's leverage points at. and then play together as a unit. They're not doing those things really well right now. So now you're allowing 4-yard gains to turn into 10 or 11-yard gains. And you got to be able to nullify all this leaky yardage. And then when you guys got in zone coverage, you got to stick to guys. And then when the quarterback breaks the pocket, you got to plaster your coverage. Those are the different things that I'm seeing out of Alabama's defense. And I've been talking about it for weeks. Hopefully they get it cleaned up, because if Tennessee has wide receivers running down the middle of their defense scot-free, you can't just anticipate or depend on Nico missing them. You got to be there to defend them.
Roman Harper is with us. He joins us each week courtesy of MyBookie.ag. Code next round when you sign on at MyBookie.ag. And you get that sign-on bonus. They will double your initial deposit. MyBookie.ag, code next round. MyBookie.ag, code next round, where Alabama is favored 3 over Tennessee there in Knoxville. It is easy to discuss what Alabama's defense has done bad. We have spent a lot of time doing that. What have you seen on film they have actually improved on? What can you tell me Alabama's defense has improved on?
Since last year?
Or just during the course of this year?
I thought they started out better than where they are right now. One thing I will say is that they do have a couple guys that are starting to step up in the fact of, like, LT Overton's playing well. I like that they're rotating a lot of the young guys at corner. I'm not, like, they're actually doing decent and better. And so, like, that's a positive. But if you don't have eye discipline, your eyes aren't right in the right place, then you're going to give up leaky yards, explosive runs, explosive pass plays. Other than that, I really can't say where they improved that, guys. And that's scary.
That's
but it's
sad.
the truth.
Yeah.
I don't lie to you guys. So, like, I would love to say more, but I would be lying, and I can't do that.
I like the truth.
So, big game in Austin this week. Georgia, by the way, they've won
just a little.
They've won 50 straight versus teams not named Alabama, and now they're catching 5 points in this game. And it looks like since Georgia really struggled offensively against Kentucky, they've scored 31-plus in their last 3 games. During that stretch, Carson Beck is averaging right at 380 passing yards per game. Why do you think Texas – that number keeps creeping up, and they're a 5-point favorite? That's a big number, Harp.
It's because Texas has been the best team in the country all year. The things that they've been able to go out there and do, execute defensively, show off their speed, tenacity on that side of football, creating turnovers. That's why, because Texas has been that team. And so you got to give them credit for what they've been able to do and what they've been able to earn this year. But at the end of the day, this is going to be a game that comes down to way more than that. And for Georgia, they have something that you cannot count on, that you cannot put a marker on. Appreciate it, sir. And that is their championship DNA. Georgia has the ability to rise up at any point in time in any game and go out there and do whatever they need to do to go win a game. We've seen them do it. That's why they've won 50 straight versus everything besides Alabama. So, like, because of that, they have a chance. But Georgia has started slow. Georgia can't start slow. Georgia starts fast. Georgia has a chance to go out there and show who they really are, and that is that the team, like, nobody's actually been able to actually threaten Texas as well. So I said it all year long. I'm not drinking the Texas Kool-Aid until they play 3 games. And they played Oklahoma, but Oklahoma couldn't threaten them in the pass game. Georgia's the next one, and then Texas A&M at the end of the year. Then I'll judge Texas. But this Georgia team will be the first team that can actually threaten Georgia through the air. Michigan couldn't do it. Oklahoma couldn't do it. Oklahoma challenged Texas emotionally because it's a rivalry game, but not actually in the game versus the pass. The moment Texas scored 1 touchdown, the game was over. That will not be the case versus Georgia this weekend.
People think of New Orleans for different reasons. I think of it because of food. The best thing you've ever eaten right there in the city of New Orleans, whether it was today, yesterday, or any time in your career in New Orleans, what's the best meal you ever had?
That's just unfair. I couldn't even come up with an answer and lie to you. The thing I do enjoy eating the most here are the charbroiled oysters because I can only get them here.
Yeah.
So, like, the uniqueness of that part of it is what I love. Drago's is still my fave. Acme has some good ones. Superior Seafood has really good ones as well. But the charbroiled oysters, you only get them here in New Orleans. So for me, that's probably my favorite thing that I get here all the time. And then after that, bro, it's just I love black and redfish as well, which I only seem to get a lot of great redfish down here in Louisiana. So love that as well. And, dude, and just honestly, like, every time I come here, I just eat like all the time. I just eat everything, and everybody's got their own taste and twang on whatever they're going to make. And you got to be really good if you want to survive here and have a restaurant business. You got to have great food. And so anywhere you go is usually pretty good.
Well, this probably goes back to the Super Bowl celebration, but what about the most random bar at the most random time in the morning that you've been at? Because New Orleans is one of those towns where it can be like 7:13 a.m., and it's not like you're starting with a Bloody Mary or a mimosa. It's like you've been out all night, but you're still able to go because it's New Orleans.
His family and kids are in hearing distance.
Yeah, no.
He already told his kids he'd leave their mom for Dua Lipa.
The trolley car, it's right there on St. Charles, and it's like a 24-hour crazy hole-in-the-wall spot. I don't know if I trust the food at like 4 a.m. because I don't know if it did me great the next morning. But places like that are like what you can only find here, where, you know, you walk around and it's just like, oh, you're open? I'm like, oh, yeah, we're open 24 hours. And you can get it how you live, however you want, at any hour of the day, right here in this city. So like that's the other part that you love. And the best thing about having the big events here is that you can have VIP places in certain areas. And then for everybody else, the gin pop, you can just turn them loose on Bourbon Street and Canal, and everybody will just have a great time regardless.
And it just seems like that town would be so dangerous for a rookie, first, second year, athlete, whether it's somebody with the Pelicans or somebody with the Saints. I mean, you don't have to name names, but did you see anybody flame out just because they didn't have the discipline to live in New Orleans with money fresh on that first professional contract?
I know, honestly, I'm not going to talk about anybody else, but I will raise my hand. Hey, look, I you know me and my lifestyle, like I like to enjoy myself. And I was one of those guys. Luckily, I just continued to make enough plays to where they kept me around. You know what I mean? Like I just made a little bit more plays my third year, a little bit better in my fourth year. And that's what allowed me to stick around. But I was going to buy a place in this same building that I live in now my third year in the league because I was partying so much downtown and I needed a place to stay and crash like a Batman cave downtown. So I didn't have to drive all the way back to Destrehan because I was living that life and there was no Uber at the time. So luckily I made it out and I ended up getting a place here anyways years later. And it's awesome. It's cool. Like I'm gonna go up here by the pool and hang out in a little while and get my drink on. I already had mimosas this morning because I guess before you do a photo shoot, you got to drink champagne with the wife.
It makes it go down easier, I guess. Harp, thank you. Enjoy the game tonight. We'll see you next week.
Hey, man, appreciate it, guys. Always, thank you guys for always having me, man. Appreciate it.
Yeah, buddy. Take care. Roman Harper with us on the JohnstonRVCenter.com hotline. MyBookie.ag brings you that interview every single week where Alabama is a 3-point favorite at Tennessee. Auburn is a 4.5-point underdog at Missouri. And as Lance mentioned, the big moving line is Texas up to 5. Favored 5 over the Georgia Bulldogs. When is the last time Georgia's been a 5-point underdog? They are right there at mybookie.ag. Code NEXTROUND to double your initial deposit when you sign on with code NEXTROUND at mybookie.ag.